Hey guys, tonight we're staying up way past bedtime, and I swear, the air in this room already feels like it's breathing just a little too close. You've been rifling through the attic, that corner where dust collects faster than memories, and you find it. A small, black audio recorder nestled among broken toys and faded school projects. Nothing marks it, nothing suggests it should even exist, yet it radiates a subtle wrongness, like it's aware you've touched it. You pick it up, and the plastic feels colder than it should, almost like it's holding a secret that would rather wait for the right moment to make you flinch. Real-world fact. Magnetic tape can retain audio signals for decades if stored in the right conditions, which explains why this thing could still work after all these years. Experts still argue whether some tapes can remember more than just sound, but tonight, you're about to find out what that could mean. The attic itself hums around you. The floorboards groan. The dust motes shimmer in a single stray shaft of moonlight. You notice a faint smell of stale rubber and mildew, a combination that somehow heightens your awareness, your pulse. Urban legend time. Some online forums claim that forgotten electronics in old houses can act as portals for echoes of the past, replaying more than just old birthday parties or cartoon marathons. You shake your head at the thought, but a twinge of unease curls in your stomach. As soon as you hit play, your own voice fills the room, but it isn't you. It's younger, deliberate, almost uncomfortably calm. Listen carefully. It says, "There are rules tonight. You must follow them." You feel the words lodge in your chest. Your pulse quickens as you remember today is your birthday, a seemingly ordinary day now twisted into a countdown. Your eyes dart to the clock. That soft tick-tick-tick suddenly feels deafening. You realize, in that moment, you'll never trust the quiet in your house again. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, comment below with your current local time and one creepy thing in your room right now. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The first rule is clear: don't leave the attic. But even as you nod to yourself, your rational brain protests. Nothing about this makes sense. You can feel the temperature dip around your shoulders, as if the air itself is warning you. The recorder clicks softly, looping the young voice again, repeating the rules with an urgency that's hard to ignore. You glance toward the shadowed corner of the attic and notice a shape that wasn't there before. It isn't moving, not really, but it exists, a suggestion of presence, enough to make you freeze. Second stretch. You keep listening, heart hammering, aware that you've stumbled into something that's far older than this dusty box, something patient and watching. One more look at the recorder tells you all you need. Tonight, nothing will be ordinary. Every step, every breath, every glance could be a test. And you're already partway through it. The attic feels smaller now, the corners pressing in, as though the air itself has weight. Your younger self's voice continues from the recorder, precise, measured, impossible to ignore. The rules, follow them, or something unnamed will find you. Experts still argue whether stress can make people hallucinate voices, yet the tone of this one is too consistent, too deliberate. It's not fear speaking, it's certainty. You press your hands against the floorboards, feeling the vibrations of your own heartbeat echoing beneath your palms. The recorder hums softly, a subtle undertone beneath the voice, like something else is communicating in frequencies just beyond your hearing. Real-world fact. Certain low-frequency sounds can trigger anxiety, nausea, and the feeling of an unseen presence. So maybe this explains the chill crawling up your spine. Or maybe it doesn't. Time bends. You glance at the clock. 8:45 p.m. The rule about knocking hasn't even begun, yet a hesitation curls in your gut. That small voice in your head whispers, "Don't touch anything else." And the rational part of you wants to dismiss it. You step back from the recorder, almost knocking over a box of brittle projects, and you freeze as a soft, deliberate knock echoes from the attic hatch. Too early, wrong place, but the knock is real. Another follows, louder, deliberate. You feel a shiver twist down your spine. Urban legend alert. Some attic spaces have been reported in forums to act as crossroads, where past and present intersect. People have claimed hearing knocks or whispers from a memory not their own. You roll your eyes, trying to rationalize it, yet you don't move. The recorder's young voice slices through the tension again. Ignore it. Don't even look. You close your eyes, counting breaths, willing your ears to block the sound. The knocking stops, leaving a silence that presses in, thick and expectant. Every instinct screams at you to run, to open the hatch, to flee. But the rules are clear. You can't leave. You sink to the floor, pressing your back against a dusty trunk, and notice the faintest movements in the shadows. Shapes twist and shimmer at the edges of vision. You can't be certain it's real, but it feels real enough for your muscles to lock in place. A nearby box shifts slightly, as if something beneath the dust is adjusting, observing. Experts still argue whether our peripheral vision can detect entities we aren't consciously aware of, or if it's just trickery of the mind. But this is beyond debate. Your entire body insists on believing it's happening. The minutes stretch, elongated, each second dragging across your skull. Your breath clouds in the cold air, and the attic seems to pulse with anticipation. You realize, tonight, the voice isn't just a warning, it's a guide. The recorder has become a lifeline, tethering you to your sanity or whatever passes for it tonight. You pick it up again, pressing it closer to your ear, letting the steady, unnervingly calm voice drown out everything else, every shadow, every twist of imagination. There's a clarity in the instructions, even as terror coils around your chest. Tonight isn't about understanding, it's about surviving. And then, right on cue, another sound slices through the silence. Slow, deliberate, 3 sharp knocks. Not from the hatch this time, but lower, from the attic stairs. Your pulse spikes. The first intrusion begins. The 3 knocks hammer against your nerves like a slow drum, each one reverberating up through the wooden steps and into your chest. You press yourself into the corner, eyes wide, fingers clutching the recorder so tightly it's starting to cut into your palms. The young voice on the tape repeats the warning: do not answer, do not look, do not engage. Experts still argue whether auditory perception under stress can bend time. Tonight, each second stretches into an eternity, each pause between knocks a gaping maw of anticipation. Real-world fact: sound carries differently in empty spaces at night, often amplified, distorted, and just wrong, feeding your mind a version of reality you can't fully trust. You hear another knock, then a faint whisper just beyond comprehension, like a shadow trying to speak your name. It mimics something familiar, perhaps your own voice or someone you once knew, but the tone is off, stretched unnaturally. The air in the attic thickens, sticky and cold. You remember some internet reports claiming that unmarked devices from the past can sometimes act as psychic echo chambers, trapping not just sound but emotion, memory, and fear itself. You want to dismiss it. You try, but your body refuses, every nerve screaming that you are already too late to be safe. The knocks stop. Silence hovers. You exhale shakily, only to hear it, a scraping from the attic floorboards, closer now, like claws dragging over wood. Your eyes dart to the shadows at the edge of the room. A shape stirs there, tall, impossibly thin, leaning at angles that make your stomach twist. Its skin, if you can call it that, shimmers in the pale moonlight, featureless where a face should be. Experts still argue whether the human brain is hardwired to recognize forms even when they shouldn't exist. Tonight, you know that what you're seeing cannot be understood. The creature doesn't move in steps. It doesn't shuffle. It simply is, then is closer, bending space around it like a ripple across reality. Your hands shake. The recorder drops and clicks against the floor, but the voice continues as if nothing has changed. Stay put. Don't engage. Follow the rules. You wrap your arms around yourself, pressing into the floor, imagining some rational explanation, something mundane. But the attic rejects all reason. The lights flicker. Just once. The shadow retreats to a corner, then vanishes, leaving behind a silence that's worse than the presence itself. Your chest heaves, your throat tight. You remind yourself, the rules are your only protection. Don't open the hatch. Don't confront it. And then, almost on cue, the soft scrape returns from the far corner, accompanied by a voice that is unmistakably familiar. "Open up, honey," it says, dripping sweetness with a metallic undertone, your mother's voice, or a cruel imitation of it. "Don't go." The tape's rule repeats in your mind like a drumbeat. Ignore it. Do not respond. You clamp your hands over your ears, rocking slightly, the rational mind fighting to cling to your own identity as the sound presses against your skull. Minutes pass. The figure never returns, at least visibly. But the oppressive sense of watching doesn't leave. You realize the attic itself is alive in its attention, each object, each shadow, a participant in this cruel trial. Urban legend says some old attics can hold grudges, that restless presence is attached to unclaimed spaces, and now, you think you understand why. Your younger self's voice hums steadily, a tether back to something safe, if only barely. And you wait for the next sign, the next test, unsure if your pulse is counting down to relief or to something far worse. By now, the minutes stretch into an eternity. The attic, which once felt like a place of dusty nostalgia, has transformed into something alive, pulsing with anticipation, as if the house itself were exhaling around you. You press your back against a trunk, listening. Your breath clouds in the cold, and the shadows stretch across the slanted ceiling like slow-moving predators. Experts still argue whether humans are capable of sensing presence in a room even when no one else is physically there, but you feel it. Every nerve in your body screams that something watches, moves, and waits. Real-world fact. Low-frequency vibrations can create the sensation of an unseen presence, and maybe that explains the tingling at the base of your skull, but your gut says otherwise. The rule about the kitchen test looms ahead. Your younger self's voice on the recorder reminds you in a flat, deliberate tone. At exactly 11:07, the sounds will come. Do not leave. Do not engage. You glance at the clock. 11:05. Your stomach knots as you hear a soft crash from downstairs, the unmistakable shatter of glass. Your pulse hammers, every instinct telling you to bolt down. Check, see what's going on. But you obey, frozen in place, feeling a strange calm in the act of obedience. Urban legend whispers in your mind. Some houses seem to play with their occupants, creating scenarios so tailored that they feel like cruel games. You can almost hear the rules of this one ticking invisibly around the walls. The crashes multiply, pots, pans, shards of glass. Then a voice, familiar, friendly, wrong, calls your name. It's distorted, like a recording stretched thin, but you recognize it. An old friend, dead for years. "Come on down, it's okay. I'll help you." You saw it, didn't you? Each syllable scratches against your nerves, testing the limits of your will. Your palms sweat, fingers digging into the carpet. You repeat the rules in your head, over and over. Don't answer. Don't move. Don't engage. Your mind races. The recordings you once laughed at as a child now dictate life or death. You feel every second stretching impossibly long as the house echoes with sounds that seem to warp the fabric of reality itself. The kitchen chaos is a lure, a test. You imagine your friend's distorted form, a hollow mimicry reaching through space, trying to convince you that logic and loyalty to memory are meaningless here. Experts still argue whether mimicry and auditory perception can genuinely fool the brain, but your body does not care. It reacts with pure, instinctive terror. The clock ticks toward 11:07. You clutch the recorder tighter, its low hum grounding you, tethering you to the rules. The house's murmurs crescendo, a soft scrape, a faint whisper, the whisper of air moving where no air should be. You are entirely alone, yet entirely observed. And then, like a cruelly precise machine, the next crash lands. Louder, sharper, directly below. The test begins. You do not flinch. You do not move. You remain rigid, anchored in obedience, feeling the first real weight of terror press upon your shoulders. The attic waits. The shadows wait. The next hour of survival has begun. The clock hits 11:07. The noise downstairs stops. Not fades, stops, like someone pressed pause on the world. The silence that follows is thick enough to choke on. You listen, hardly daring to breathe, your entire body tuned to the faint hum of the recorder. Then, from the kitchen below, the refrigerator door opens with a slow suction pop. Footsteps drag across linoleum. A chair scrapes the floor. The voice returns, closer, clearer. You don't have to hide, sweetheart. It's safe now. You bite down on the inside of your cheek until you taste blood, anything to anchor yourself in something that belongs to you. Experts still argue whether memory and sound can intertwine to create false familiarity, that eerie moment when something almost sounds right. But this isn't almost. This voice belongs to your mother. Every cadence perfect, every pause exact. The part of you that still clings to hope wants to believe she's alive, downstairs, waiting. Yet the part that's listening truly, deeply, knows the voice has a hole in it. Like tape stretched too thin, the edges fray when it says your name. The recorder vibrates faintly in your hands, a static pulse beneath your thumb. The young voice, your voice, returns. The thing below will try to bait you. It feeds on recognition. Do not give it your name. You feel the weight of that instruction settle like ice in your chest. You look toward the hatch. The darkness beyond it feels like an invitation. Real-world fact. Infrasound, frequencies below human hearing, can trigger panic, dread, even hallucinations. You tell yourself that's all this is. An acoustic illusion. A low rumble you can't perceive, but your body can. And yet, from the bottom of the stairs, a new sound begins. Slow, rhythmic tapping, like fingernails on wood, tracing the pattern of your heartbeat. Urban legend whispers that some houses aren't haunted by spirits, but by echoes of the living. Fragments of consciousness caught between floors, between moments. Maybe this is one of those nights. You imagine your own past self trapped somewhere beneath the boards, knocking to remind you of what you've forgotten. The thought almost comforts you, until the knocking answers your next breath, syncing perfectly with the rise and fall of your chest. You whisper to no one, "Stop." The sound stops. Complete silence. Then the voice below says, softly, "Good." Every hair on your body lifts. The recorder hisses. Your pulse spikes. You remember another line from the tape that you hadn't noticed before, maybe because you weren't ready to hear it. If it answers you, it's already halfway through. You don't understand what that means until the attic floor groans, as if under new weight. Something has joined you. The light bulb swings faintly overhead, throwing shards of shadow across the walls. You can't see the figure directly, but you feel the space around you shift, folding inward. The air grows dense, humid, faintly metallic, and you know, whatever was downstairs is no longer there. Experts still argue whether survival instinct is logic or prophecy. Tonight, it feels like both. You keep the recorder pressed against your heart, whisper the rules once more, and pray that silence remains just silence. But deep down, you already know. The next sound you hear won't come from below. It'll come from behind you. The sound comes softly at first, barely there, like someone brushing fabric against the attic wall. You turn your head an inch, only to feel the shift in air pressure behind you. That subtle pull that tells you something tall now occupies the same space. You don't dare look. You remember the rule: do not engage. Do not name what stands behind you. Experts still argue whether hyper-awareness under fear can create phantom presences, but your senses betray that theory. There's warmth now, radiant, human in temperature, but wrong in its stillness, like a body imitating breathing rather than living it. The recorder clicks once. The young voice returns, softer this time, speaking as though directly into your ear. If it follows the rhythm of your breath, you have already been chosen. Do not acknowledge. Keep breathing. You force your lungs to move evenly. Each inhale measured, each exhale steady. The air smells faintly of damp earth and rust. The silence between breaths feels like standing on the edge of a cliff. Real-world fact. The human auditory system fills silence with imagined sound. The brain creates noise to avoid sensory deprivation. Maybe that's what this is, your mind patching over the horror with static. But when you exhale, The breath that brushes your neck is not your own. You bite your lip, tasting blood. The presence leans closer. You can feel its awareness pressing against the back of your skull like a physical weight. The bulb above flickers, briefly revealing movement. A long shadow sliding across the wall, stretching past what geometry should allow. Then darkness returns, and in that void you hear it whisper in a perfect replica of your voice. Why are you still listening? The attic tilts. The floorboards ripple like water beneath your knees. You grip the recorder, your anchor, your proof, and whisper back, not to the thing, but to yourself. Follow the rules. The young voice immediately responds, tone sharpening. Never answer it. Ever. Your breath stutters. You realize it was waiting for that slip, baiting you to speak first. Urban legend warns that imitation entities feed on participation. The moment you respond, you establish connection. You swallow hard, resisting the urge to turn. The presence behind you shifts, circling slowly, dragging the temperature down with it. Your bones ache from the cold. Every rational thought dissolves beneath the weight of instinct. The recorder crackles again. There's one last rule, your younger self whispers. If it learns your heartbeat, you must stop your breath until it passes. You can hear it now, the faint echo of your pulse reverberating off the walls, mirrored perfectly by another rhythm in the dark. 2 heartbeats, out of sync by half a second. The thing is learning you, timing you, syncing its existence to your pattern. Experts still argue whether shared rhythm between living beings can induce empathy or horror. Right now, it's both. You hold your breath. The attic goes deathly still. Seconds stretch, vision tunneling, until you feel the warmth pull away. A faint sigh, disappointed, then silence. You wait. 10 seconds. 20. 30. The air lightens. You gasp quietly, lungs burning, realizing you survived whatever that was. The tape clicks softly again. Well done, your younger voice murmurs, gentle and proud, but there are more rules you haven't heard yet. The recorder stops. The attic remains silent, but you sense movement within the walls, something small, crawling, multiplying. You stare at the clock. It reads 11:23, barely 16 minutes into the test, and already, the night feels endless. The attic exhales. You can almost feel the house reset itself, timbers loosening, pipes sighing, as if relieved to have survived the first movement of whatever ritual you've accidentally begun. The shadows retreat to their corners, pretending to sleep. You don't trust it. You sit perfectly still, letting your pulse slow, the recorder heavy in your hands like a small animal that might wake if you move. The clock reads 11:24 now, and each second's tick lands like a heartbeat that doesn't belong to you. Experts still argue whether prolonged fear can alter perception of time, stretching minutes into hours. Maybe that's why the silence feels bottomless. Maybe it's why your own breathing sounds like someone else's. Real-world fact: deprivation of external stimuli can make your brain amplify internal ones. Blood in your ears, the twitch of muscle, the whisper of thought. You listen to all of it, waiting for the next instruction. The recorder crackles, unprompted. Static rolls out like a slow tide before resolving into your young voice again. Softer now, almost intimate. Good. You made it through the first trial. But the house is not done testing. There's one more voice you'll hear before midnight. When it speaks, don't answer in words. The message ends, but the static remains, a faint hiss like distant rain. Then you hear it. Faint footsteps pacing below, measured and deliberate. They pause beneath the attic hatch. You close your eyes, gripping the recorder, whispering the rules under your breath. The footsteps start again, but now there's a second set, lighter, following half a beat behind. 2 people, or echoes of one. The boards creak in rhythm. Then silence. Then laughter. A child's. Urban legend time. Many listeners claim to have heard phantom children playing inside white noise, voices that mimic laughter at the edge of sleep. Scientists chalk it up to pareidolia, the mind finding patterns in chaos. You want to believe that. You need to. But the laugh happens again, and this time, it's behind you. You spin instinctively, breaking the first rule. The air ripples, folding light into a shape your brain refuses to name. Not a child. Something smaller, jointed wrong, moving on all fours but too fast, too fluid. Its mouth opens, and the sound that comes out is your own laugh, recorded and reversed. The bulb bursts. Darkness floods the attic. The recorder slips from your hands, clattering across the floor, its red light blinking weakly like a heartbeat fading. You crawl toward it, palms scraping splinters, feeling the air distort around you. The thing giggles again, closer, circling, testing. The young voice sputters back to life through static. Do not speak. Do not scream. Let it finish. You press your forehead to the floor, forcing your mouth shut, every muscle trembling. The creature's breath brushes your ear, cold, damp, childlike. It whispers something in a language made of your own memories. You don't understand, but you know what it wants: acknowledgement. Experts still argue whether fear can rewire sensory memory, allowing hallucinations to borrow familiar sounds. You don't care. You keep your lips sealed. After a long moment, the air warms again. The sound fades, melting into the hum of the old house. The recorder stops blinking. The attic returns to stillness. You sit up slowly, chest aching from held breath, realizing your cheeks are wet. You don't remember crying. You only remember the giggle fading down through the floorboards, toward the kitchen. The clock ticks over to 11:32. You're not even halfway through the night. You stay frozen for a long time, waiting for the quiet to feel honest again. The house creaks, stretching as if waking from a dream, but every sound feels deliberate, too controlled to be coincidence. You pick up the recorder. It's warm now, almost hot, the plastic casing pulsing faintly as if something beneath it were alive. The red light doesn't blink anymore. It glows steady, like an eye that's decided to watch rather than record. Experts still argue whether stress can cause auditory hallucinations to loop back into perception, making the mind replay its own fear as sound. Real-world fact: when the human brain can't explain a stimulus, it defaults to meaning, and meaning is always the most dangerous thing to find in the dark. You turn the recorder over, thumb brushing the stop button, but there isn't one anymore. The switch has fused. A voice hums through the static, almost sing-song. You're doing so well, it says, the tone lilting like a lullaby. You can't tell if it's your younger self, the thing, or something in between. You whisper, barely audible, "What are you?" Then instantly regret it. The attic breathes in response, boards flexing beneath you. The voice hums lower, softer, pleased. You spoke first, it says. That means it can ask. You hear the scrape of tiny feet against wood. Dozens of them. From inside the walls. You watch the plaster pulse, faint bulges forming where something crawls behind it. Urban legend whispers that some houses develop memory infestations, echoes of whatever lived, died, or dreamed too strongly inside their walls. Maybe this is that. Maybe it's worse. The floor vibrates once, then stills. A smell rises, sweet, faintly chemical, like old film stock burning. You look down and realize the recorder's plastic casing is beginning to bubble. You drop it, but it doesn't hit the floor. It hangs mid-air, suspended, the tape reels spinning slowly in both directions at once. The red light expands into a halo. Your younger voice returns, but now it's strained, glitching between pitches. If it reaches you through light instead of sound, close your eyes. Do not look. You squeeze them shut. Instantly, you see shapes burned into the darkness behind your eyelids. Hands, faces, symbols too fast to comprehend. The attic hums like a power line. Experts still argue whether stroboscopic light can trigger hallucinations or epileptic fits, but this feels deeper. You sense the flicker carving something into your mind, letter by letter. The words form unbidden. It remembers your breath. You clamp your jaw tight, fighting not to exhale. The air grows thinner, heavier, each second stretching to impossible length. You count heartbeats instead of seconds, 5, 10, 15, until the hum fades. When you open your eyes, the attic looks almost normal again. The recorder lies on the floor, melted slightly at the edges, the reels motionless. You think you've survived another trial. Then you notice the faint glow behind you, a reflection on the window pane. You turn, slowly. In the glass, your reflection stands half a second out of sync, breathing in when you breathe out, smiling when you don't. The clock reads 11:47. You're still in the game, but now the house has learned your rhythm. The reflection in the window doesn't vanish when you blink. It lingers, a perfect mimic carved from glass and moonlight. It moves half a beat late, always catching up, always watching. You step closer, testing it, and it follows your motion too smoothly, too precisely, as if it were waiting for permission to step through. Experts still argue whether delayed visual feedback can cause dissociation, but this isn't distortion, it's intelligence. You watch the faint fog of its breath bloom across the inside of the glass, while yours doesn't. That's the first real proof you're not looking at yourself anymore. The air turns electric, humming low through the window frame. You whisper, "Don't move," and this time the reflection obeys. Real-world fact: mirrors and windows reflect not only light, but also the electromagnetic fields of nearby objects, meaning they carry echoes of presence. Maybe that's why it's smiling now, maybe it feels yours. Then it lifts a hand and taps the glass once. A hollow, precise sound. The vibration ripples through the attic. You back away slowly, whispering the rules to yourself like prayer: don't engage. Don't repeat. Don't mimic. The recorder lies silent on the floor, melted but intact. You crouch beside it, desperate for the next instruction. The attic grows brighter, not with light, but with awareness. You feel the boards pulse underfoot, each one sinking to your heartbeat. Your reflection moves again, one step behind you, until it's no longer inside the glass. It stands beside you now, transparent, trembling like heat haze. Its face keeps trying to match yours, but something's wrong with its mouth. It opens too wide, too slow, as though time drags differently for it. Urban legend says that houses built on crossing foundations can develop echo doubles, manifestations of the residents' unfinished memories. People claim to have seen themselves doing things they hadn't yet done. You used to laugh at those stories. Not tonight. The double tilts its head, studying you. Its lips move soundlessly. Then, from the dead recorder, your young voice emerges again, shaking for the first time. If it mirrors you, stay still. If it speaks, cover your ears. You freeze. The double starts to whisper, not words exactly, but your own thoughts played backward, bleeding into sound. It's narrating what you will do next. You lunge for the recorder, clutching it to your chest, whispering, "Stop." The voice glitches, then falls silent. For a moment, everything resets. The reflection dissolves. The air clears. The attic exhales. But then, faintly, you hear your own laughter behind you, matching the timing of your breaths. Experts still argue whether looping audio phenomena can create an auditory mirror effect, causing the listener's brain to project the sound source. You don't care about the science anymore. You care about the fact that your laughter is getting closer, circling you like a predator wearing your voice. You whisper, "This isn't real," and the laughter stops completely. Then your own voice answers, calm and close. "Then why are you still here?" The clock chimes midnight. One clean tone, sharp enough to crack the silence in two. The attic lights up with a white, so pure it feels like being erased. You drop the recorder. You try to scream, but sound itself seems gone, pulled into the blinding air. When the light fades, everything looks exactly as it did before: dust, boxes, silence. Except for one thing. The window no longer reflects you at all. You test the window by lifting your hand. Nothing moves back. The absence of your reflection feels like a hole in the world, a quiet subtraction. The glass holds only the faint shimmer of rain light and the soft distortion of the night outside, as though something has been scraped clean from its surface. You breathe once, slow, and watch the pain remain perfectly still. Experts still argue whether sensory deprivation can cause the mind to erase itself from perception, but this doesn't feel internal. This feels confiscated. The attic hums again, low and steady, like a refrigerator that's learned to breathe. You step backward toward the stairs, heart hammering so loud it feels audible. Somewhere below, a door opens. Not a creak or slam. Just the clean, mechanical sound of a latch unfastening itself. You grip the stair rail and whisper, "Not now. Please, not now." Real-world fact. Many recorded hauntings begin not with noise, but with pattern. Objects shifting in symmetrical ways, doors aligning themselves to unseen geometry. Maybe that's what's happening. Maybe the house is adjusting. You descend slowly, one step at a time. The hallway below looks warped, longer than before, its angles bending slightly inward, like the house is leaning toward you. Every shadow seems to have acquired weight. You reach the bottom step and pause. The air smells faintly metallic, like rain and warm circuitry. On the kitchen table sits the melted recorder. You know you left it upstairs, but here it is, neatly centered on the wood, reels motionless, tape glistening as though it were wet. A folded note rests beside it. The paper is old, yellowed, torn from a notebook you recognize immediately. It's your handwriting, but younger, shakier. The note says, "Do not listen. You've already failed once." Urban legend says that time doesn't move forward in certain houses. It loops, replaying decisions until someone makes the right one. You want to laugh, but your throat's too dry. You unfold the note further and see one more line beneath the first. Play it again anyway. You sit. The chair creaks under you, an old friend warning you to run. You press play. Silence. Then your younger voice whispers through the static. Rule 7. If the mirror stops reflecting, it means it has crossed. Find the other side before it finds you. The lights flicker. You glance toward the window and see nothing beyond. No street, no trees, no night. Just a flat black surface that drinks the light from the room. You walk closer, each step heavy, your reflection still missing. When you touch the glass, it ripples beneath your fingers like oil. Experts still argue whether consciousness can project across mirrored space, creating reflexive thresholds. You don't argue. You push harder. The glass bends, then gives, and cold air floods the room. You see faint images in the dark, rooms identical to yours, repeating into infinity, each occupied by silhouettes that almost look human. They turn their heads toward you in unison. You yank your hand back, but it's not wet. It's slick with something clear that smells like old film. The recorder clicks. The tape spins backward. Your younger self speaks again, frantic now. If it looks back, you have less than 1 hour. Don't sleep. Don't blink. Don't answer the door. As if on cue, someone knocks. 3 soft raps. Polite, patient. You freeze. The sound comes from inside the house, not outside. You whisper, "Who's there?" Your own voice answers through the door, calm and steady. It's you. You forgot to come in. The clock reads 12:06. The night has decided to repeat itself, and this time, you're the thing trying to get in. You press your back against the kitchen counter, every nerve screaming. The knocks continue, slow, deliberate, like a metronome measuring your dread. You dare not look at the window. The reflection still hasn't returned, and the glass feels like it's sucking the room into some impossible depth. Experts still argue whether repeated auditory stimuli can trigger dissociative responses, but you're not thinking about science. You're thinking about survival. You remember the rules, and the young voice returns, tinny and insistent through the melted recorder. Do not open. Do not answer. Stay where you are. It will mimic, but it will make a mistake if you wait. Real-world fact. Humans have survived extreme threats by simply freezing and letting instinct and pattern recognition guide them. Sometimes, the only move is inaction. The knocks stop. Silence presses in. Then comes a soft scrape at the far wall, like fingernails against plaster. The sound travels across the floorboards, rising slowly, and you notice the shadows stretching unnaturally toward you. You instinctively hold your breath. Each second feels like 10. You tell yourself it's just a trick of the acoustics. You try not to imagine the hands, the faceless shapes, the whispers promising familiarity. Urban legend. Some houses are said to have time echoes, where events repeat themselves perfectly until a person makes a decisive act. Maybe the tape is one of those echoes. Maybe your young self set a chain that only you can break. The kitchen light flickers, plunging the room into darkness for a heartbeat. When it returns, the figure is there. Not fully solid. Its edges shimmer, a heat haze outline, but it's unmistakably human in form. Its head tilts unnaturally, ears pointed toward you as if measuring your fear. The thing raises a hand, slow, deliberate. You remind yourself, don't react, don't move. You hear it before you see it speak, your own voice, warped, crawling out of the figure's chest. Come closer. I can help you. It mimics your tone perfectly, even the pauses you make when thinking. You close your eyes. The air thickens. Every heartbeat feels amplified, echoing inside your skull. A sudden jolt. Something slams into the floor near your feet. The tiles rattle. You glance down. The recorder has risen again, spinning its tape wildly. Red light pulses erratically, casting shadows that twist like living things. Your young voice pierces the static. The mirror is still watching. The attic, the kitchen, they're connected. You have to move carefully. You inch backward, trying to create distance, every movement measured, every breath held. The figure advances a step. The air around it warps, bending the light like heat waves. You feel your pulse echoing through the floorboards, and for a moment, you wonder if it can sense the rhythm of your fear. Then, another knock, 3 raps again, coming this time from behind you. You spin, heart in your throat, and realize there's a second figure. Both are faceless, both humming your voice. You have never felt so small. You whisper to yourself, almost prayer, follow the rules. Survive the night. Survive the year. You press yourself against the counter, trying to think, trying to plan, but the attic's earlier hum has followed you down, vibrating under your feet. The 2 faceless figures shift in unison, stepping closer, but not yet touching. Your pulse races in a mechanical rhythm, and you realize with sudden clarity, if you move wrong, it will mimic perfectly, and then there will be no distinction between you and it. Experts still argue whether mimicry can become a trap for the mind, but you're not debating. You're calculating each breath, each hesitation. The melted recorder spins on the floor like a top, reels glowing faint red, casting long, writhing shadows that stretch across the walls. You remember your younger self's words. If it reaches you through sound, shut your ears. If it reaches you through reflection, look away. If it reaches you through objects, destroy them. You reach down slowly, fingertips brushing the hot plastic. As soon as you pick it up, the air thickens, the temperature dropping, a faint metallic tang rising to your nose. Real-world fact. Extreme cold can trigger the human startle reflex, making the slightest sound feel deafening. You grip the recorder tightly, holding it like a talisman, as one of the figures moves closer. Its faceless head tilts in that impossible angle, the shadows on the walls stretching unnaturally, as if they're trying to crawl inside you. You notice faint writing etched across the tape, letters forming words that weren't there before. Do not let it enter. Urban legend whispers that some cursed objects carry warnings that appear only under stress. You squint. It's true. The second figure edges closer, and a sudden flicker of the kitchen light illuminates its form. You see the faint outline of a face trying to imitate yours, a grim parody of your own expression. You remember the rule about mirrors. Your reflection is missing from the window, gone, and yet, here it is in physical form, half a heartbeat out of sync. You throw the recorder into the air. It arcs in slow motion, reels spinning, and lands on the floor with a shattering pop. Both figures freeze for a moment, shadows twisting violently, then vanish entirely. The kitchen is silent. Too silent. You collapse onto the floor, trying to catch your breath, heart hammering like a drum. The clock ticks toward 12:30. The house exhales. For the first time in hours, the air feels slightly less oppressive. You know the night isn't over, that these creatures, these echoes, might return in another room, at another time, but for now, you've won a fragile reprieve. Experts still argue whether extreme sensory deprivation can temporarily pause paranormal events, but it doesn't matter. You feel small victories in your chest, tiny sparks of survival against something relentless. You sit there, trembling, eyes locked on the dark corners of the kitchen, listening, waiting, holding on to the knowledge that every rule followed is another day you survive. The house feels hollow now, like it's sighing through the cracks in the walls. You sit on the floor, back pressed against the cold tile, heartbeat slowly returning to a semblance of normal. But the silence is heavy, like a weight pressing against your ears, and you can almost hear the soft creak of wood settling, the house breathing with its own slow, deliberate rhythm. Real-world fact: older homes, especially those built over reclaimed land, can produce acoustic anomalies that make ordinary sounds echo in unsettling ways. You'd normally dismiss it, but tonight, nothing is ordinary. Your gaze drifts to the window, and for the first time, your reflection is there again. Slightly delayed, of course, just a fraction of a second behind your movements. Experts still argue whether temporal lag in reflections is perceptual trickery or the mind's attempt to rationalize a shift in consciousness. You ignore the science. You can feel that something is still wrong. The attic hum has returned, faint but insistent, vibrating through the floorboards. You realize it's no longer upstairs, it's everywhere. The melted recorder pulses faintly in the corner of the kitchen, as though it's breathing in tandem with the hum. Urban legend claims that objects tied to a person's past can act as beacons for lingering presences. That tape, that cursed tape, is still guiding the night. You stand slowly, knees shaking, and move toward it. The reel spins silently, casting thin red lines of light onto the walls. You know the final step: destroy it. But a voice, impossibly soft, seeps through the static from nowhere, echoing your own. You've survived the first cycle. Are you ready for the next? Your stomach drops. Your younger self's warning comes back. The rules now extend for the whole year. You exhale sharply, realizing the implication. Survival isn't just tonight. It's every day, every hour, as long as the house, or whatever it is, decides to track you. You grab the recorder and carry it outside to the fire pit again. Your hands tremble violently, sweat stinging your eyes. Matches strike, and the tape ignites instantly, curling, bubbling, melting into unrecognizable black goo. The flames flicker, dancing across your face, and for a moment you allow yourself a small, bitter laugh. You did it. You survived another trial. Then you hear it, a faint whisper behind you, carried on the wind, not from inside the house. See you soon. You freeze, staring into the darkness. Even as the fire dies, the echo lingers. Somewhere, the night is still awake, waiting. You step back inside, door locked, windows checked, everything in place. The house is quiet now, almost friendly in comparison. You sit on the couch, exhausted, mind racing with the knowledge that this isn't over. It's only the beginning of a longer, more intricate game. The clock ticks past 1 a.m., each second marking a fragile victory, each moment a reprieve. You lean back, rubbing your face, shivering from adrenaline and cold, and wonder how long you can keep following these rules before the next cycle begins. You sink into the couch, finally allowing your muscles to release, though every nerve remains alert. The night has a rhythm now, a subtle pulse that seems to resonate through the walls and floors. You realize with a shiver that the house itself is awake, waiting. Experts still argue whether dwellings can retain echoes of human fear like a psychic recording, but you don't care about theory. You feel the residual tension in the air like static electricity on your skin. The fire pit outside is reduced to glowing embers, the tape now unrecognizable. You tell yourself it's over, yet instinct screams otherwise. Urban legend claims that objects destroyed in flames can continue to influence reality if tied to an unresolved event. You feel it, the subtle tug, the residual hum, telling you the game hasn't ended. You glance at the clock, 2:17 a.m. The house is quiet, but it's the kind of quiet that feels alive. Your mind drifts to your younger self, the voice on the tape, and you realize something unsettling. That 12-year-old you isn't just a messenger. He's a guardian, a sentinel marking your progress, and he's still watching. A faint scratching begins at the baseboard behind the couch. You stiffen, eyes fixed on the corner of the room. The sound moves slowly, deliberate, as though whatever is making it knows exactly where you are. You remember the rules. Ignore it. Do not engage. Don't look directly. The rational part of your brain argues that it's a mouse or a settling floorboard, but your gut knows better. You stand, hands shaking, and move toward the hall. The shadows stretch and bend in impossible ways, warping reality around them. Real-world fact: our peripheral vision is highly sensitive to motion, often detecting shapes and shadows our conscious mind cannot immediately process. Tonight, your peripheral senses are screaming. The house breathes around you. You step into the hallway, counting steps silently. Each footfall echoes, yet there's no response. You feel the eyes, hundreds, maybe thousands, of shadowed shapes watching from corners, walls, and mirrors. The recorder is gone, the fire pit is cold, and yet the presence lingers, patient, eternal. You reach the staircase and pause, realizing that to survive the next cycle, you must remain vigilant. Your younger self's words echo. The rules now govern the year. Every day, every hour, it watches. Follow them, or it wins. You swallow hard, heart pounding, knowing the ordeal has only just begun. You settle back onto the couch, muscles taut, mind racing, yet a sliver of resolve begins to anchor you. The house has resumed its quiet, a deceptive lull that feels like the calm before a storm. Real-world fact: human perception of time can warp under prolonged stress, making minutes feel like hours, a cruel advantage for whatever lingers in this house. You notice each breath, each tick of the clock, each faint hum that wasn't there before. The shadows along the walls ripple subtly, as if alive, brushing the edges of your vision. Experts still argue whether ambient energy in old buildings can manifest as perceptual phenomena, but tonight, you don't question. You feel it in your bones. Something is still tracking you, still playing its patient, methodical game. Urban legend holds that spirits or echoes tied to objects will linger until their story is fully acknowledged, and you've just begun the first chapter. A sudden creak from the attic above makes you freeze. The sound is light, almost hesitant, as if whatever is up there is testing the limits of its own power. You tell yourself to breathe, to remain still, to trust the rules. Do not engage. Do not react. Do not be lured. The 12-year-old voice reverberates in your memory, a mental talisman. Follow the rules. Survive the year. You glance toward the window. Your reflection is normal again, but your peripheral vision betrays a subtle flicker, an almost imperceptible double of your own figure moving independently. Your heart races. You remember real-world accounts of visual lag in mirrors during high-stress states, but this isn't mere lag. You feel the presence. You feel it testing you, measuring your patience, calculating your fear. Minutes stretch, hours blur. The night slowly, deliberately moves toward dawn, but you remain vigilant, eyes scanning, ears attuned. You sip cold coffee from a mug you didn't remember making, trying to anchor yourself to reality. The recorder is gone, the tape burned, yet the hum of anticipation, the house itself, persists, a reminder that survival is not a single act, but a continuous vigilance. Finally, you lie back, muscles exhausted, heart still hammering, and whisper to yourself, "I survived tonight. I will survive tomorrow." The young voice echoes faintly in your mind, a promise and a warning intertwined. The rules are your lifeline. Obey them. Trust them, for the year has just begun. The first light of dawn presses faintly against the curtains, stretching pale fingers across the living room floor. You breathe slowly, letting exhaustion wash over your body, muscles loosening, yet your mind remains alert, tuned to the quiet tremor of the house. Shadows retreat reluctantly, bending back into corners, leaving only faint echoes of the night's horrors. The air is cool, carrying the faint scent of burned plastic and old wood, a lingering reminder of what you survived. Outside, the world moves with ordinary rhythm, unaware of the battles fought inside these walls. Experts still debate whether fear can linger long after the danger has passed, and you feel the truth in every nerve ending. The memory, the adrenaline, the uncanny, all remain, even as the day awakens. Urban legend whispers that those who survive encounters with echoes or faceless watchers carry a faint pulse of the uncanny for years, a constant reminder that vigilance is a quiet, daily act. You stretch, yawning, letting the tension in your shoulders ease. telling yourself that this was only the first night, that the house sleeps now, and that the rules will guide you through the rest of the year. Reality feels almost tangible again, a soft layer over the sharp edges of memory. You whisper to yourself, a sleepy mantra, I am safe. I am awake. I survived. The hum of the morning blends with a faint breeze, carrying a promise that the night has ended, but a whisper lingers. It's still out there, waiting. End of script. Sleep tight, if you can.